Marie Dyhrberg, she's a criminal defence lawyer. You'll know Marie. She's absolutely amazing. She's also the Auckland District Law Society President. Marie, hello.
Good afternoon, Leah.
Oh, you always start sounding just, hello, Leah, and then we get into it. She's so official, but she knows. Marie, can we just first, before we talk about New Zealand, let's talk about Donald Trump's trial and their jury. How difficult is it going to be to get people on his jury that are not that say, I can't be impartial, I can't be fair, I've got it in my mind what you are?
The interesting thing about how I look and see what's going to be happening over there in the States, of course, everybody knows about it. So the old sort of adage, if you know something about the case, then that's going to disqualify you from serving on the jury. That, of course, that won't wash in this particular one. I suppose what they will be asking is if you are either associated closely with any potential witnesses, and so forth. So that's kind of a standard exclusion. Then what the lawyers over in the States can do, and in this trial, the jurors fill out a questionnaire to start with, just a bit of background. Then they can start exploring not who they vote for, but they can start exploring what sort of community groups they belong to, what their beliefs are, perhaps what churches they go to, what are their occupations in more detail. And so you start building up a picture, could be stereotype, but it's the best you can do, of where you think somebody lies. Are they going to be against somebody who would have sex with a sex worker, or would you say, well, who cares? That doesn't really matter. That doesn't affect what somebody does. So you start trying to tease out what their maybe prejudices and sympathies could be. And there are, in the States, of course, there are lawyers and there are experts that are skilled in being able to say, what sort of jury do we want? Who are we looking for? They probably have the money to go into the background of who these potential jurors might be.
Wow.
And then, of course, people who sit there and they watch body language. They watch who relates to someone, who seems to be isolated, who seems to be loud and therefore would want to be on the jury. Well, you don't want those people either because they're opinionated. So you have all these experts who are watching. They have more challenges than we do. I think it is different from state to state. But I understand from the Trump trial, you can have 10 challenges with no reason. You don't have to give reasons.
Wow. So that's so fascinating, and there's a business, there are people that know how to read jurors and what they're thinking, supposedly. Does that mean that it could be open to loading a jury in a certain way?
No, I think what it allows you to do, and I always think I'd love to have the ability to be able to cross-examine jurors. All we do is get their name, their address, and you just turn and look at them. We're going to have 4 challenges, and you watch them, and the next minute they're in the jury box, and we know nothing about them. And sometimes they might say, I'm a mother, but in actual fact, they support, say, police advocacy groups, and they work for a high-end group of doctors. So that's wonderful. You just do not know the truth. You don't know if they've got sons or any sort of children or husbands who are police officers, who are all sorts of maybe military, which would make you think they're a bit more conservative, a bit right-wing. But I would love to be able to have more input to try and question potential jurors as to their beliefs, as to their opinions, so that I can say, well, you're not going to fit my jury. I don't want you on my jury because you are not going to understand what my case is about, or you're going to be prejudiced.
So let's look at New Zealand's juries then, Marie, because I mentioned the cost of what jurors get paid, and I was summoned at the end of last year and I didn't serve. I think the case was in February, and at the time I had this job, which my employer sent the letter to the courts and they discharged me. They said, right, fine. But is it time that we really start paying? I know it's a civic duty, but, who can survive on $80 a day?
No, and of course that is the problem. So what you then do is you get a disproportionate number of the certain groups, such as maybe students. So for them, $80 a day just to sit and listen to something is fabulous for them. You might have somebody who is unemployed, and they are quite happy to be unemployed, so $80 is a lot for them. You aren't going to get your real good cross section of juries if you are paying such poor amounts. So, of course, some of that money, of course, goes into, I've got to come in, I've got to pay for parking, I've got to pay for food, I've got to pay for travel. It soon whittles down. So you're often left with people who either think, well, that's quite a bit of money a day, or someone who says, well, I can't afford to spend a week. I'm self-employed. I can't make sense of just getting that amount of money. So they, of course, are also the people who have a very good reason to be exempt. So they get exempted, and it's a good ground for some, but the payment is appalling. Yeah. And it's going to prevent you getting good civic-minded cross-section jurors.